That's the man, and there's the driver of the car that should look good for race 2. Let's see how they go. They're out behind the safety car. Your grid looks this way. Stokel, Pretty, Brock, Bornes, William Pye. Then we go back to John Tulin, Theo Kondouris, and David Stevens in that new GT2.
Well, a good-looking field, almost a full grid as the rest of the field come through the bottom corner back onto the front straightaway here at Oran Park. Give you an idea of Stokel under the wraps here as the pace car moves off onto the infield. And Stokel with Pretty right alongside as they come in for the start now. And Stokel says, see you boys, I'm off. Pretty here on the outside of Stokel as they come down the front straightaway.
And problems for Kondouris. He didn't get a good start, and he's been rounded up by 2 other competitors and lost a mile of ground. But look at the battle for the race lead. They're on board with Stokel. Nathan Pretty behind him, and Brock in the mix as well.
Well, Brock in the Poolroyd car actually got the best of that. When he got up on the inside, we'll see what he can do here. The turning lane is to the right, and they're right behind Stokel as they take the right-hand turn. There's Nathan Pretty in the Just Car entry, and Peter Brock sits right in behind him.
Well, Brock was able to catch up on Nathan Pretty in race 1 on the program, but run out of time, couldn't get past. Now has a bit of a look to the inside. That'd be brave.
Well, Brock's car doesn't appear to be handling equally as good as Pretty's car. Pretty hasn't lost any gap behind Paul Stokel as they come down the hill, but as they get onto the handling part of the circuit, the Lamborghini starts to pull away. There's the gap, 2nd and 3rd. Peter Brock right up here on the bumper of Nathan Pretty. They're having a good race for 2nd and 3rd.
This is a part of the circuit that Peter Brock knows very, very well. He's had some great dices with Alan Moffat in years gone by. Going across the top of the dog leg. Can't get round Nathan Pretty, though.
Brock actually drops into that corner very much on the high side, loses a little bit of ground. Here's Pretty. Brock starts to pull him back in as they get down the front straightaway. In the meantime, Stokel is running well and truly away from them.
Yeah, it's a good point, Mike. 2 cars that are very similar in design, but 2 very different race lines both of these drivers are taking out there.
Well, Brock is going into the corners a little on the hard side. There you can see the gap back from the leader to 2nd and 3rd as we take our race cam. But Pretty's done a pretty fair job, and Brock's car, I think, is a little more competitive this weekend than it was in Adelaide.
Well, Peter Brock said that they've done a lot of work on the rear suspension of this car, and he believes it's a much better product than the car that James Brock drove at the first round of the Clipsal 500, proving that at the moment.
Well, as they come across the line, we'll go back and have a look at this on replay.
This is the start, and this is where things went wrong for Theo Kondouris. You can see just balked off the line, and that allowed the 2 guys behind him, David Stevens and David Janine, to just go zoom straight past and put him back 2 spots in one foul swoop.
Well, Theo had a lot of work to do from there as they come down into the first corner. He has the corner just about right as he swings in here, but he's probably trying to figure out what went wrong. He got off to a pretty bad start as we come back to the race live now with Nathan Pretty feeling the wrath of Peter Brock in the Poolroyd entry.
And he is feeling the pressure at the moment. Down through the kink that time. The yellow Monaro, the Just Car Insurance machine, very loose, just started to dance around on the circuit as Theo Kondouris tries to wrap up and pick up a few extra spots. Now he gets a run on Janine as they come onto the start-finish straight. He already delegated Stevens back 1, picks up Janine now and finds himself with John Tulin out in front. No great surprise there, though.
Well, no, he got a good line, got a good run off that corner, so it's picked up at least
Tulin's run wide.
Yes, he's gone very wide, so that's picked up the 2. It took a while, but at least he had it down pat.
Oh, what a shame for John Tulin. He was sitting there comfortably out in trophy class, and it just went wrong. Maybe he just got out on the dirt in the entry to turn 2. This is where Brock and Nathan Pretty are at the moment.
Well, the past master as they go beneath the Yokohama Bridge up into the right-hander. There's the race leader. We're taking our race cam that shows off the back of the Lambo as he heads out. Nathan Pretty still running in 2nd. Back in 3rd is Peter Brock as they come into this corner. Now watch these 2 Monaros. They're a little different. Brock's car appears to be a little more on the solid side. He gets the horsepower and all problems here. For the Lamborghinis, it goes very, very wide. And we've had a change of positions. Nathan Pretty in the yellow Monaro has now gone through to lead from Peter Brock. And the problems now facing Paul Stokel. Let's go to Andrew Smith in the pits.
It seems to have some sort of electrical fault and keeps cutting out all the time. It comes on, it goes off, and it's cutting off the power steering, it's cutting off everything. It's some sort of little power gremlin, we're not quite sure, and hopefully it doesn't impede him. If we can keep going, we'll keep going. If we can't, we'll, as long as it's not a safety issue, but it's cut out probably 4 times now, so we'll see what happens.
Well, disappointment there for Team Lamborghini. They came to this weekend with a very strong car, and this is what went wrong. It just stopped.
Well, the 1st and 2nd got through there. As you can see, Nathan Pretty and Peter Brock coming up on the inside here of their race leader, Paul Stokel, and taking over 1-2.
And that's the replay of what happened to John Chulin on board Theo Kondouris' car. You can see just got out into the dirt. And also Stevens down in pit lane as we check out the race score.
So Pretty, the race leader from Brock, and Stokel is in third place. Furness is in there as well. And we've got more action to come from Oran Park Raceway. Time to check out one of the stars, Nathan Pretty, the race leader, 31 years of age, comes from Victoria, started racing in 1980 in supercars. And the history, of course, won the 2002 Bathurst 24-hour race and a former Oscar champ. It's very, very patient. They're not around anymore.
Yeah, he's driving the Michelin-shod Monaro. There it is, 600 horsepower of machine and a price tag of about $400,000.
I'll have 3.
Oh, John Chulin. This is as a result of him going bush a few moments ago. You can see the amount of dust that's coming off the front right-hand wheel of that car.
That's been an expensive run off the track for him too, because he had to come to the pits. They've had to clean all of that out of the car, so he's had a lot of work to do.
Let's go down to the crew and find out exactly what went wrong.
I think he just went a bit wide down in turn 2, got into the sand trap, and as you can see, we've come in, just cleaned all the dirt out of the disc brakes in the front end.
So no damage to speak of?
No, other than that, it was just a bit of dirt, binding up in the caliper.
That'd be pretty versatile to be a crew member these days.
I mean, jack of all trades, master of none.
Back here at Oran Park Raceway, Nathan Pretty and Peter Brock in hot pursuit as they run down the front straightaway. They're a long way clear of Paul Stoker, who must be having a mischievous little electrical problem.
Yeah, it's strange. He hasn't come into pit lane. They've elected to keep him out there. He's battling for third spot at the moment as the Monaros are involved in an almighty battle of their own right in amongst all the Porsches at the moment.
Well, Brock thinks about having a run down on the inside, a lock up there from Nathan Pretty. That Paul Brock a little closer to the tail of the car as they come out of that corner. Down to the right-hander to go up over the bridge, and the Just Car machine still leading from the Pool Ride 05. Brock giving this every tick in the book to try and get a win up here this afternoon at Oran Park.
Yeah, I think Brock got a little bit closer to the back of Pretty's car than he expected to. It forced him to lock up a brake and gave Pretty just a little bit of breathing space between the two.
They're having a terrific race between them. Pretty here coming into the left-hander, 4:27 the leader. 05 Peter Brock running in second spot, and the fans here at Oran Park today enjoying it. Brock at his best as he swims over the flip-flop and comes down on the inside. Can't manage a pass there as he moves to the outside. Through Autotech corner here as they come onto the front straight away. Nothing between them with a couple of laps to go, if not only 1 lap to go this time. And it's Nathan Pretty, the race leader. Second spot held by Peter Brock. Then it's a long way back to Paul Stokel.
Well, Brock looked very racy going across the top of the dog leg that time round. Will he try for that last lap lunge? There's a bit of traffic out in front too. That's going to come into play.
Well, as they exit the left-hander and come down under the bridge to the right-hander, Nathan Pretty has this one just about sewn up. Doesn't lock a brake, get in. Brock does this time in the Pool Ride Red Monaro as they swing out of that corner. They've got some traffic which hangs to the right, makes it a little bit easier into this corner. So that is the order. It's unchanged. They're heading up to the bridge for the final time.
Well, John Chulin getting right out of the way. He's quite considerably off the mark at the moment because of that pit stop that he was forced to do. Allows these two guys to go on with it. Well, what can Brock do across the top of the dog leg? You can see he's lining him up.
Well, I don't think there's much he really can do because Nathan Pretty's got all the bases covered. Into the left-hander, they exit out of here. The car, that yellow Monaro, will become increasingly wide as they come up to the flip-flop. They come over here. Brock's only chance is down the inside, and I don't think he can do it. Thinks about it. On the brakes heavy as they come into Autotech corner for the final time. Checkered flag at the ready as they swing out of here, and it's going to be a first-up win to Nathan Pretty as he comes across the strike. Brock in second place, and here is the battle for third as they come down the front straight away into the last corner, and it's still Paul Stokel, and right behind him is Stephen Bornas.
Yeah, the trophy class guy right up behind Paul Stokel, who struggled throughout this race. Checkered flag, he comes down across the line. Bornas has a lunge too, doesn't quite get there. Tried to pick up ultimate glory as we check the Formula Green race score.
Nathan Pretty, the race winner over Peter Brock and Paul Stokel. Stephen Bornas finishes back there in 4th place. In 11th was Andrew Litton, and right back through the field, John Chulin finishes in 16th place.
You had to be surprised to see that black thing disappear.
Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate they probably had a problem. I mean, good for us, I guess, because it only would have shot off into the distance. But Pete and I had another pretty good duel, and I made my Monaro pretty wide as usual. So.
I was actually enjoying myself, saying, come on, Nathan, come on, a little bit wider here. Let me just leave me a little bit of a hole. And I actually enjoyed racing with that slower traffic too, because it does make a bit of a high-speed game of chess in a way.
The car cut out, and then it started again, and then I lost power steering, and then I lost the tacho, then I lost the change lights, and I lost the mirror, and the power was basically disappearing the whole time for the race. And I was sort of panicking that we wouldn't make the finish, but fortunately we got there.
Yeah, I think this category is great. You know, the way they use the weight to, you know, bias the cars. Although we had 72 kilos on, but I guess it affects the Lambo as well. So you just, you putt away and tyres go off and you can catch guys. You know, it's good.
So yeah, just outbraked myself on turn one. The tyres were still a bit cold, and it was a combination of cold pads, cold tyres, and misjudgment. But yeah, I was lucky. I just sort of skirted around the dirt, but picked up half a hundredweight of it on the way through.
Very important to have a broom in the pit area, it would seem.
Yeah, I reckon. I think they should have two of them. Yeah.